I first met the dumbwaiter on move-in night when its hidden motor thumped twice behind the pantry and convinced me I wasn't the only tenant in apartment 3B. The gray stone on North Magnolia looked honest enough in daylight fresh tuck-pointed bricks. Ring camera by the front door, and a Craigslist rent that felt impossible in Uptown's market. Craig Feldman, the nephew who inherited the building after his aunt's passing, explained that the dumbwaiter shaft was bricked at the basement and double-latched inside each unit. City code said leave it untouched. Rodents love the old chute. Cheap rent for a minor quirk sounded fine, and my friend Talia Russo, commuting to Northwestern's biology labs, needed a room. We signed the lease, pocketed a single brass key, and stacked cardboard mountains until midnight. At 3:07 a.m., the pantry wall gave two soft knocks, then a pulley squeak like a bike chain in November air. I lay rigid on the futon, certain the sound was my sleep-deprived brain. 5 seconds later, another thump, lower, almost at floor level. Talia's voice drifted from the hallway, half amused, half nervous, asking whether raccoons knew how to work elevators. We laughed, tightened the dumbwaiter's stainless bolts, and tried to convince ourselves the building was settling. Craig surprised us Monday morning with a welcome text. Meal kit box on the porch. Enjoy. Inside were two vacuum-packed dinners and a polite note from Uptown Harvest. We thanked him by photo message, then noticed fine scratches in the pantry hardwood, curved arcs right beneath the dumbwaiter sill. A night-as argument produced two theories, scratching raccoons or the world's politest burglar before we forgot the marks over chicken risotto. That night, the motor sounded again, 3 beats this time, but the bolts held. I wedged a folded playing card between latch and wood, penciled tick marks across card and jam, and fell asleep feeling clever. Tuesday brought an unexpected visitor. A man in a polo stitched with City Food Safety Task Force, badge clipped to his belt. He said a new ordinance required checking pantry outlets for unregistered refrigerators after a listeria scare. The QR code on his tablet 404ed. His smile didn't. Talia, 2 months shy of her PhD, asked which subsection of the food code he enforced. The fake inspector shrugged like a kid caught with exam notes and left without another word. The city's actual health department confirmed nobody named Inspector Givens, no pantry campaign, and no cops available to grab him unless he returned. That evening we unscrewed the bolts and lifted the inner door. Instead of the cracked wooden box I expected, a gleaming steel cavity stared back, fresh insulation, LED strip, a keypad the size of a postage stamp. My phone flash found rails polished by recent use, wires sneaking upward into ceiling plaster. Whatever Craig's contractor sealed had been gutted and replaced with something that hummed faint and cold. Talia suggested we record proof. We taped the bolts, smeared a lipstick line over the seam, planted her baby monitor camera on a flower bin, and waited. At 2:58 a.m., the camera captured the tape vibrating, lipstick tearing on an invisible blade, and the door easing forward. A stainless drawer slid 6 inches into our pantry. A gloved hand the color of nitro lifted out our decoy, the untouched second meal kit pouch, and replaced it with a silver envelope marked Renovert Bioplasma, Lot O2. The drawer retracted. The bolts retightened. The lipstick line now sat a hair off center. Craig arrived with coffee and denial. He pried the pantry baseboard loose, disappeared downstairs, and texted that the shaft ended in fake brick. Someone had dug a narrow service tunnel through the old coal chute and mounted motorized rails that met the basement wall behind the laundry. The upgrade had to be recent. Drywall dust still clung to copper staples. We armed ourselves with a pry bar, 3 flashlights, and the kind of adrenaline that fills cold apartments at midnight. At 2:45 a.m., a panel van coasted into the alley, headlights off, interior glow sickly blue. Its side door slid. A courier in medical scrubs carried a soft cooler, approached our ground floor hatch, and vanished under the building. Talia took the stairs 2 at a time. Craig waited with the pry bar in the laundry. I killed every light and pressed record. The dumbwaiter door shuddered. Drawer came halfway before Craig wedged steel between rails below, grinding motor teeth. Up top, the courier hissed annoyance. Talia flicked hallway fluorescents to strobe. I yanked the pantry door wide and caught the courier's forearm through the gap, enough to scare him back. He abandoned the cooler, retreated fast, and the van howled off into the alley before blue lights arrived. Chicago PD found 6 plasma pouches on dry ice, all barcoded, each stamped with a 24-hour viability clock and destination code CH Miku. An internal sensor inside the dumbwaiter texted GPS pings to an IOT sim. Detectives traced past pings to other uptown addresses still stuck in foreclosure limbo. A stolen van was later discovered by the river, emission hoses still cold. News aired a sanitized headline about illegal biological courier ring. The building's HOA replaced every dumbwaiter faceplate with welded sheet. But I sleep knowing steel can always be cut again. Craig's aunt left 3 more empty units on the block. Contractors have begun gutting them, promising high-speed internet and smart home packages. Every new brochure features a smiling couple sipping wine beside a gleaming kitchen vent. Whenever I pass those flyers in the lobby, I picture a nitrile-gloved hand, a silent drawer, and a pouch meant to keep living tissue alive until an operating room calls it. The next tenants may never cook chicken risotto, but they'll inherit the dumbwaiter. I hope they tested silence before the first 3 a.m. delivery knocks from inside the walls. Add a camera code. The first night I slept in my new place on Erie's West Bluff. Every smoke detector chirped in perfect sequence front hall. Kitchen, bedroom, like someone walked a slow circle pressing test buttons I hadn't touched. I'd bought the 2-story colonial on Linwood Avenue for a steal. Bank-owned, winterized, empty since the pandemic. My job managing network security for a Pittsburgh firm went fully remote, so a cheap mortgage near the lake looked smart. My longtime friend Mary Walsh, a traveling home health nurse, needed a crash pad between contracts, so she took the spare room and volunteered to help paint. We moved in on a bright Saturday, hauling IKEA boxes past brittle hedges. By midnight, the radiators clanged warm, the Wi-Fi purred, and exhaustion had me half dreaming before my head hit the pillow. Then came the detectors. 3 sharp chirps, 2-second gap, 3 more. Miri called from the hallway. Burnt toast? I laughed it off. Old batteries can sync weirdly after power restarts. We silenced them and crashed again. Sunday we tackled the basement. Previous owner had stapled plastic over shelves and left a handwritten sign. Do not remove inspection schedule. No date, no agency logo. Inside the plastic, we found only paint cans and a breaker panel lockout tag keyed to a company called Lakefront Property Services. Google said it dissolved last year. That afternoon, a gray van rolled to the curb plane panels. Magnetic logo, Lakefront PS, seasonal maintenance. Two men in reflective vests stepped out. The shorter one, badge reading Foreman Dean, said they were contracted by the bank to service winterization devices and needed quick attic access. I'd never heard of winter devices upstairs, but their work order referenced my address. They wore boot covers, spoke in clipped sentences, asked no small talk. Dean set a timer on his phone. Will be 15 minutes. They vanished up the pull-down ladder with tool bags. 9 minutes later, the second man descended alone, hoisted a heavy duffel that clinked. Dean followed, phone in one hand, what looked like a hard-wired smoke detector in the other, same model as ours. He said everything was cleared and left without new paperwork. Van drove off before I could ask for sign here lines. That evening, Miri joked they probably swapped spy cameras into the detectors. I laughed until I noticed the kitchen unit as test button hung at a slightly different angle than before. I unscrewed the cover, no radioactive disc, just a small PCB wired to a lithium pack and a micro slot. My pulse thumped. The bedroom detector matched both fakes. Miri's eyes widened. They installed something, not removed. She pried the hall detector. Real sensor? Only two were imposter's kitchen, my bedroom, both vantage points on ground floor doors. I pulled breakers, pocketed the boards, and typed an email to Erie PD, but saved it in drafts. I wanted clear proof. We slept uneasily with ladders blocking the attic hatch. Monday morning, a uniformed city inspector knocked, flashing ID. He'd come to verify lead paint abatement standard after foreclosure sales. His schedule showed 10 a.m. entry signed by Lakefront Rep, but we never authorized. He checked a tablet. Someone using my name confirmed. Appointment at 7 a.m. from a masked IP. While the inspector tested walls, I climbed the attic. Between rafters sat a wood crate wired to a 4G antenna taped against the chimney. Inside, a battery array, micro DVR, and SIM slot. Two cables snaked under insulation toward ceiling positions above kitchen and bedroom. A sticky note read N5 route Tuesday 2:30. I shot photos. Miri found the fake detector boards broadcast on 915 megahertz short-range mesh. We bagged everything. I called a friend at a Cleveland telecom who traced the Simus ICC ID. Registered to North Shore Medical Courier. A shell with no website. At 11 o'clock p.m., we killed house lights and waited in the front office where blinds still covered windows. Snow started, muffling traffic. At 2:25, a muted diesel idled outside, then stopped. Through the slit, I saw the same gray van. Two figures hopped out, carrying a Pelican case. A flashlight blinked three short, three long flashes toward my kitchen window. The same pattern the detectors chirped that first night. Miri hit record on her DSLR through the mail slot. I dialed 911, whispered the situation. Dispatch kept me on while a cruiser rolled. The men jimmied the back door's winterized lock in seconds. Hallway motion light popped. They froze. One hissed, visual offline. The other replied, maybe low bat. They advanced anyway. As they reached the kitchen, I stepped from the office aiming a heavy mag light, Erie police and route hands visible. My voice cracked but held. Dean, the foreman, slowly raised palms. His partner dashed for the cellar door. Miri kicked it shut. Dean's eyes flicked toward the attic ladder hatch. He smirked as though Plan B was unfolding elsewhere. Sirens whooped curbside. Dean knelt. Officers cuffed both inside 3 minutes. They seized the Pelican case. 6 medical-grade cryo vials nestled in dry ice, each tagged with a barcoded bracelet mail. Mid-30s, weight, blood type, except bracelets had fresh timestamps for that night. Detectives spent dawn cataloging. Attic kit transmitted encrypted footage to a remote van receiver. Chirp code signaled safe entry times. Courier, vans across Great Lakes corridor allegedly pre-selected houses in escrow limbo. Retrofitted them as overnight relay drops for human tissue shipments, living tissue. Victims were transients offered medical trials at bus depots, sedated and moved in pods to suburban basements. Then relayed through houses like mine to clinics racing FDO parasite. 2 days later, local news covered illegal biological transport bust, obscuring details. Municipality blamed a third-party contractor's rogue employees. The bank's foreclosure division issued a statement about vandalism disguised as maintenance. Miri left for her next contract in Denver, locking her bedroom detector and a glass jar as a souvenir. I filed insurance for door damage. Nights are mostly quiet now, though when the furnace clicks, I picture chirps in pattern. I replaced every smoke alarm with a photoelectric I bought in person and taped my own seal. The creepy part? County deeds show 4 other Linwood Avenue homes flipped in the same quarter, all sitting empty. Real estate agent hinted investors planned quick renovations. Last week, a moving truck unloaded furniture across the street. New owners unpacked smiling. At 2 I noticed a plain panel van slow. Hazards flashing near the curb, then roll on. I drafted an anonymous letter with everything I learned. Slid it into their mailbox. If a maintenance team asks for attic access, call police before they reach the ladder. Because the hunters weren't after our memories or ghosts. They were after what a surgeon could harvest before dawn. And they still know every vacant house on a spreadsheet that hasn't been seized. Now, whenever I enter a new rental for friends, I twist the first smoke detector I see. If the cover spins too easily or the test button clicks sideways, I tell them find another place to sleep before someone tracks a chirp pattern that means door is unlocked. Cameras down, package ready. The realtor called it a smart, secure renovation. But on the first night inside our Raleigh split level, I learned the window sensors were tuned less to burglars and more to a schedule only the previous installer seemed to know. The place had sat empty for 8 months after a divorce fire sale. A lender-funded rehab outfit rolled through and left quartz countertops, vinyl plank floors, and a full suite of motion detectors tied to an app called Quiet Chilled. My partner, Leah Park, who just accepted a remote archivist position, liked the idea of a turnkey nest near Greenway trails. So we pushed 30 years of rented apartments into one risky mortgage and crossed our fingers. Quiet Chilled chirped success when we locked up at 11 o'clock p.m. We hauled a mattress to the main bedroom and passed out to cicadas. At 3:02 a.m., a single glass break tone pinged from the central hub, just loud enough to yank me upright. I checked the app, Zone 7, basement slider, micro vibration detected. Leah muttered that tunnels of hot air can fool accelerometers and rolled over. I tapped Reom, but the little ripple of unease kept me awake until dawn. While assembling desks the next day, we spotted a tiny drilled hole in the vinyl window frame above the basement slider, fresh plastic curls still clinging to the edge. Inside the frame, a thumbtack lens reflected back, a pinhole camera wired through the jamb, cable disappearing into insulation. Quiet Chilled's manual didn't mention cameras. I unscrewed the device and found a soldered lithium cell with an NFC logo. The serial label read Aqua Home Watch. Leah called the rehab company. They swore their electrician installed sensors only, no cameras. They blamed technology creep from a subcontractor who bid multiple houses at once. That afternoon, a white cargo van with Aquila lettering parked at our curb. A single tech wearing a lanyard introduced himself as Mason and said, Aquila offered free post-sale audits to remove orphaned equipment. He produced a work order with our address and asked to scan the hub for firmware mismatch. His badge looked real enough, but QuietShield had already updated over Wi-Fi. I asked for an Aquila office number. Mason mumbled about NDS and left without pressing. That evening, Leah and I searched QuietShield forums. One post warned about silent partner mode that shipped only to wholesale remodelers. It allowed a secondary login invisible to the homeowner, broadcasting sensor pings to a third party. We factory reset the hub, set a fresh Wi-Fi password, and disabled remote access. Satisfied, we boxed the pinhole cam and dropped it in a drawer. At 2:59 a.m., a faint digital chirp drifted from the backyard, followed by the unmistakable glide of vinyl on tracks. The basement slider was opening. I reached the landing in time to see a gloved hand rolling the door wide enough to slip through, guided by the faint glow of a phone screen. Instinct overrode planning. I flicked the stair light. The intruder froze hooded, breathing hard. A laser-etched logo on his tablet case matched the Aquila badge. He bolted, feet whispering against new carpet, slipped through the fence gate, and sprinted toward the woods bordering the greenway. QuietShield screamed delayed tamper alarms. Zone 7 flashed crimson. Police arrived inside 10 minutes, circled the lot with flashlights, found nothing but shoe prints leading to a muddy creek bed. Report filed, nothing stolen. Officers said remodeled burglaries happen. Flippers sometimes forget to reclaim spare keys. We re-examined every window frame. 3 more micro-drilled holes revealed identical NFs to battery cameras. Each lens faced inward at an angle perfect for reading sensor LED reflections. Whoever monitored them could tell which zone still triggered after our hub reset. Aquila's customer service line rang to voicemail. Leah cross-referenced the LLC with state filings. Registered 1 county east. Owner listed P.O. Box only. A deeper search surfaced a civil suit accusing Aquila installers of using homes as live training environments for penetration testing teams break-in rehearsals that sometimes escalated to real theft of electronics easily fenced. The suit stalled when the company declared bankruptcy, transferred assets to Shield AQ Services, and rehired the same staff. Tuesday, we replaced every screw in the door locks, installed our own deadbolts, and hammered oak dowels into both slider tracks. I re-flashed the QuietShield hub with open source firmware that killed a hidden account, and Leah patched camera holes with epoxy. Wednesday at dusk, a delivery van left a padded envelope on our welcome mat, no return address. Inside was a single QuietShield contact sensor, identical to Zone 7's original, except its QR code sticker was gone. A folded slip read, replacement device service ticket closed. I buried the envelope in the trash bin on pickup night, then mounted a trail cam up the maple overlooking the drive. Thursday 2:57, the trail cam pinged my phone. Grainy IR stills showed 2 figures in dark polos approach the bin, fish out the envelope, scan both sides with a wand, and toss it into a fresh evidence bag. They moved with the bored efficiency of people confident nobody was watching. Patrol call times in our suburb averaged 6 minutes. I dialed anyway. The men vanished into the greenway before cruisers arrived. Detectives ran plate footage from traffic cams, a rented cargo van listed to a third-tier shell. Inside it, Officers later found dozens of quiet shield sensors, window cams, and a laptop actively logging dwell times for houses in our zip code. Hidden folder names matched MLS IDs of recent sales, our listing among them. The laptop used the Phantom Quiet Shield account to track when new owners armed or disarmed, mapping routines until a window of least resistance emerged, usually 4 nights after move-in, when boxes still blocked rooms and alarm habits weren't solid. News outlets ran sanitized segments on smart home exploit rings, careful to avoid scaring buyers. Quiet Shield pushed a forced patch eliminating partner mode. The rehab company offered to refund 2 months' mortgage payments. We accepted and used the cash to install a plain, dead simple alarm siren that screams if any window moves more than an inch. It's been 6 weeks. Some nights the cicadas lull me, but when wind flexes vinyl frames, I still hear that first glass break chirp echoing down the hall. Leah tapes over every LED at bedtime. I patrol with a wooden gavel, tapping each latch. 2 streets over, another flipped split level just sold. I watched a moving truck unload a nursery set into its basement, big slider doors facing the same greenway. Quiet Shield decals gleamed on their windows. I caught the new father at the mailbox, handed him a cheap rubber door wedge and said, "Put this under the track before your first night. Trust me, it buys time." Because the scariest knock in a new house, adjacent to the one you hear, is the silent chirp only your app announces, signaling someone else already memorized your routine, printed your floor plan, and scheduled their entry for the exact minute your sensor system is supposed to keep you safest.